during Hurricane Harvey was that our goal was to have no fatalities, and that's our goal this time. And we're doing everything we can. Every decision that the judge and myself and city manager and others make are based totally on the fact that we want to keep you safe, and we have no fatalities, no injuries. So that's our goal. We can get through this, and hopefully in a day or two we will have enough rain to make our grass green, but it hasn't caused any damage or harm to our community or to our citizens. So at this time, I'd like to call the city manager up to give us an update on the storm and where it is and what the predictions are. Then Judge Canales and Billy Delgado will follow him with further comments. But anytime there's some new updates that need to be provided to the public, we will certainly do that. We've got all our phones charged up, and they'll be very close to us but now dealing with this emergency. But at the same time, if you do decide to move from a low-lying area to a family member's house or to a friend's house, don't forget we're still in the middle of a COVID episode, so make sure that you take extra masks and whatever else you need during this time, because we still got the pandemic that we're worrying about, and we want to make sure that someone that has to go to another residence or location doesn't carry or expose people there that are not sick and just add to our problems. So take that in mind. We're riding two horses right now, and so be sure to take care of what keeps you safe through the COVID experience, as well as what we have through this tropical depression. So Peter, if you'll come at this time, where are you? And give us an update on the hurricane itself. And then I think the judge, and like I said, Billy will be back or be up in just a moment. So thank you very much. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Quisimos contar con esta conferencia para recordarles por parte de la ciudad y el condado que contamos con la experiencia y nuestros empleados han hecho buen trabajo, como lo vimos durante Harvey. Pero hay residentes nuevos que no tienen experiencia durante temporales como este. Parte de la preparación, esté pendiente de los avisos, sobre todo proteja a su familia. La División de Drenaje ya ha estado manteniendo el sistema para evitar inundaciones. Para las áreas que se inundan con frecuencia, le pedimos que no maneje en esas áreas. Para las cuadrillas de emergencia, les agradezco haber hecho buen trabajo, pero haga de su parte y así no arriesgue su vida ni la de las cuadrillas de emergencia. Le recordamos que las playas están cerradas desde la 1 de esta tarde para peatones y vehículos. Así podremos remover otros artículos como botes de basura y stands de los salvavidas. Le pedimos que no vaya a las playas. Habrá oficiales que estarán haciendo cumplir la ley, ya que se encuentra desde esta tarde bajo toque de queda y hasta el 26 de julio. Nuestra meta es que no haya pérdidas humanas durante este tiempo hasta que pase la emergencia, y lo mantendremos informado cada vez que haya algo nuevo. Recuerde, aún continuamos en la pandemia, por lo que le pedimos continuar evitando la propagación del virus. Si decide salir del lugar y se reúne con familiares o amigos.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Peter Zanoni, Corpus Christi City Manager, and I'm going to provide a quick update of the weather. I know people have probably seen it, but we just want to make sure it resonates and sinks in. And then talk about city operations a little bit, and then we'll turn it over to Nueces County Judge Barbara Canales. So for the past 2 days, we've had 3 weather briefings each day, we being the city leadership, including our police chief, fire chief, EOC, and others. So I want to share that with you this afternoon. This is as of 10:30 this morning. There was a noon briefing, and then there'll be one more briefing at 4:30. And so we'll continue to provide the community with this information in terms of the weather, so you know exactly when things like the wind and the rain can be anticipated. So this briefing that I'm going to provide you is from the National Weather Service, and there's a bureau here in Corpus Christi, and I'm going to proceed to tell you this. So we know that the storm has been named. It's named Hanna. It is a tropical storm. However, they haven't ruled out it potentially growing into a Category 1 hurricane in the center of the storm. Tropical storm warnings are in effect for a big stretch along the Gulf Coast, and it's from the Rio Grande Valley to San Luis Pass. So pretty much the the whole coastline. And Hanna is forecasted to become a strong tropical storm, making landfall on South Texas coast Saturday. Right, so we may begin to see some activity tonight, but we'll see wind gust in the morning, and that's when the initial approach of the storm will hit, is Saturday morning. And depending on where the center of the storm is, the wind gusts can be at hurricane force, and we'll know more today at 4:30. Wind impacts could cause structural damage to people's homes, to unanchored mobile homes, and it could cause down trees and down power lines. A flash flood watch, this is bigger than a warning, so a watch has been issued for most of South Texas, and slow storm motion after landfall could result in several days of heavy rainfall. So we think that for us, based on the National Weather Service, based that the storm's kind of moving south a little bit of Corpus Christi, the eye anyway, that we can expect to have more rain as the most significant condition. There will still be wind, but we could have many inches of rain. Because of the storm tides are expected to be 2 to 3 feet. It will cause 2 to 3 feet of inundation along the beaches. And so Judge is going to talk about, as did the mayor, the closing of the beaches. And really they're going to almost close themselves because the sand portion of the beach will pretty much be inundated with water, and later on with other debris as well. So 2 to 3 feet inundation possible along the beaches from the higher tide that we have above normal, plus the surge from the storm. And then depending on where the storm exactly hits, isolated tornadoes are also possible Saturday, according to the National Weather Service. Okay, so the key thing then is that the storm is expected around 8 a.m. The initial wind arrival will be about 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Tropical force storm winds will come in around that time. Yesterday they put Corpus Christi, Port Aransas, and another coastal town, community as a potential or more probable spot for the storm to be hitting directly, and Corpus Christi is still on there. So Kingsville, Corpus Christi, and Port Aransas have a probability of 40% for tropical storm force winds, right? So that's important to know. The wind speeds, depending on exactly where the center of the storm hits, could be around 65 miles an hour maximum of. That's according to the National Weather Service. And so because of that, there's a possibility of structural damage to homes and trees and so on. And then we talked about the storm tides will be 2 to 3 feet inundation, and there's a potential for moderate flooding along the beaches and some erosion as well on our beaches. So even though the beaches will reopen Monday morning at 6, it's quite likely they're going to be not really passable. There may be a lot of seaweed, debris, beach erosion. That will have to be fixed and maintained by the city, so we'll be out there as soon as we can. But I wouldn't rush to the beach on Monday morning expecting normal conditions. Then rainfall totals, depending exactly where the storm hits, the rainfall totals could be anywhere from 4 to 8 inches, and in some isolated areas, more than 12 inches is the forecast. Okay, so in conclusion or just a quick recap, the conditions will be deteriorating later tonight with other bands beginning to move into our region, rain bands later tonight. Winds could be close to 65 miles an hour, depending on where the storm center actually hits. Landfall is expected, and that means initially winds, and we'll begin to see some rain, but landfall is expected Saturday morning initially, and then midday through the South Texas coast. And we can expect several days of heavy rainfall with the storm, and so that means potentially dangerous flooding as well. So keep a close eye on it. We'll provide you more information on the weather as we go along. Yesterday, we talked in our press briefing, and we're going to do another one today at 5. I'm not sure if the mayor mentioned that, but in place of our COVID update that we normally do at 5 o'clock, we're going to do just another 100% weather and storm readiness update at 5. Yesterday at 5, and we want to repeat it again today, we encourage people to sign up to reversealert.org, right? The phone notification system called Reverse Alert. We have over 300,000 persons in Nueces County, but only 20,000 people have signed up to Reverse Alert. So we want to encourage you to sign up for this storm event and any other future weather, traffic, or emergency event. And the way you do that is go to reversealert.org and sign up. You have to provide your telephone number and other stuff, but there's a checkoff box or two on what you want to get alerted to. And so we encourage you to read that and check those things you want to get alerted on, to include weather, local emergencies, and traffic conditions. So go to reversealert.org. We talked about the beaches being closed, and that's for your safety. We do want to remind you, especially the surfers, that there is no lifeguards right now on our beaches. They left at 12 o'clock today. So that means all Gulf beaches, the Bay beaches have no lifeguards. So the situations are dangerous, and it's even more dangerous with no lifeguard. So we want you to adhere to the city's order, city-county order to stay off the beaches. And it's especially important. Our goal is to protect life and property, but life is a primary goal, and that protection of lifeguards are not on the beach, so people need to really stay off the beach, and including surfers. And then if people need help beginning tonight through the weekend, the city's call center is going to be open 24 hours. Normally it closes at 6 o'clock in the evening, and it's not open on the weekends. We take voicemail messages. But because of the storm, it will be open 24 hours over the next 2 days. And the number to call if you have city-type services needs, like I have a branch or a tree that's fallen in the road, I can't get out of my driveway, or there's flooding, or any type of city-type service that you have a question or want to report, you want to call 826-CITY or 826-2489, and we'll get you help. That's 24 hours. Call whenever over the next couple of days. Okay, so that concludes my portion of the briefing. Judge Canales is going to come up next, and we're going to get mine translated first by Gabby into Spanish. Thank you.
Quiero proveer con información más reciente sobre el clima. Hemos tenido varias juntas con líderes de la ciudad, el condado y el centro de emergencias. De acuerdo al Centro Nacional de Meteorología, la tormenta ya tiene nombre y se llama Hanna. Pudiera convertirse en un huracán número 1. Todo el área de la costa está bajo aviso. Se espera que la tormenta toque tierra el día de mañana. Las ráfagas de viento son de tipo huracán y pudieran ser de hasta 60 millas por hora. Podría causar posibles daños a remolques o techos en propiedades. Existen ya avisos de inundación para toda el área y pudiera durar por varios días esa inundación. La marea pudiera ser de 2 a 3 pies en el área de las playas del Golfo. Existe también la posibilidad de tornados aislados. Los vientos se estima que comiencen a las 8 de la mañana del día de mañana. Nuestra ciudad se encuentra en el cono de pronóstico en un 40%. También se estima erosión en las playas, y aunque reabran las playas el lunes, pudiera no estar en condiciones para poder ser visitada. Se estima también que la lluvia sea de 4 a 8 pulgadas. La lluvia se espera comience esta noche. Esta tarde a las 5 también tendremos otra conferencia para darle la información más reciente. Le queremos recordar registrarse al servicio Reverse Alert para recibir notificaciones en su teléfono celular. El registro lo puede hacer yendo a la dirección reversealert.org. El centro de atención al cliente también va a estar abierto y recibiendo llamadas las 24 horas al día desde esta tarde. El número a llamar es el 826-CITY o 826-2489.
Good afternoon, Barbara Canales, Nueces County Judge, and I think for the purpose of this very important weather briefing, I am going to remove my mask and then return my mask on once I'm finished with my comments. Yesterday, somebody said it was hard to understand me, and so I have to tell you this information, as all information, is so critical that I want to make sure that everybody is getting every important word. I have 3 main points today that I have outlined for us. Here they are. And they actually apply to COVID-19 as well. So although this is a strictly weather briefing, I believe these are good points for any emergency. Be ready. Number 2, stay informed. Number 3, take no unnecessary risks. Let's talk about getting ready. Whether you are new to Nueces County or whether you've lived here all your life, I'm going to have you and urge you to look at that hurricane checklist and go through it in detail. Verify it with your own eyes. For example, ask yourselves, do I have a flashlight? I did that last night. Batteries. Can you actually find your flashlight? Is your battery supply full? When the lights go out at night, it's a bad time to start looking around, wondering where that flashlight is and where you might have meant to put it. And of course, we're all going to say the same thing. I would have known exactly where it was, but COVID happened. Let's get ready today, because those kinds of things are going to happen to us. And I want to make sure that you have that checklist and that you're not accessing it in the dark. Power outages are always possible with this type of disturbance and now storm. Think of what you would do with no power. Think about the options that perhaps a box of canned food could provide. That works very well, but if you have a canned food, you may not have an electric can opener. So you know the drill. Get yourself and get your home and your family ready. I know that having a kit ready with all the things that you usually carry, your hand sanitizers, face masks, wipes are always excellent, and you're going to want to keep those handy. Remember, we're in a potential disaster inside a current disaster. So gather those documents also that we talked about that are important and get them in a safe place. I also know that if you have to leave your home for any reason, those documents are just good to have very handy, and you want to know where they are. I want you to protect your property. Make certain that all those loose items that are out in your backyard. I moved a kayak this morning. I took those chairs that were patio chairs that I enjoy sitting in and moved them indoors. All of the things that make common sense. This is the afternoon to get it done. So get those loose items that could be projectiles in high winds out of your way. Let's talk about staying informed. Manager Zanoni talked about reversealert.org. I really want to beef up those numbers. 20,000 out of 360,000 is not a strong enough number. We talked about those radios. We talked about how clued in we are to our cellular phones and to our digital media. But Reverse Alert is an awesome way to augment the information that you're getting, and then you can text it immediately to a friend or family member. It's available both on our city and our county website. They have easy links to go to sign up for information. You're going to get the type of information regarding weather and roads that you need. I want you to pay attention to the local media, and I thank those media partners that are here for keeping you informed on what's happening and what you need to do to stay safe. I want to make certain that we don't take unnecessary risks during this event. One thing you learn very quickly as a county judge is that the spirit of your citizens is really amazing. The spirit is strong. The resources, however, are finite. And all of us are going to be on point, ready to help. First responders, whether it's police or constables, firefighters, paramedics, healthcare workers. This is our mold. We're cut from this DNA. We're always ready to answer the call. And as a result, so many first responders put their lives on the line every day for our safety, security, and health. However, resources are finite. We only have so many of these heroes that are available for fire trucks, ambulances, and police cars, and we're already stretched during this COVID-19. This is why Manager Zanoni and Mayor McComb have emphasized about the curfews on the beach, about the lack of lifeguards. We don't want to have to come rescue you if we can prevent that. So this is not the time to be a storm watcher. Rent the movie. But do not go out there and look for things, because you're going to put yourself in harm's way. And when you do, you're putting our first responders in limited resource mobility. I really want to make certain that we make a plea for everybody to do the smart thing and don't take unnecessary risks. You know, one of the things that I learned this afternoon is, you know, of course, there's something called high-profile vehicles. Chief Rocha taught me that little phrase, Billy. And, you know, ambulances are amazing. They're big and they're tall, but they can also be light. And so, you know, they have a lot of ways to catch the wind. So when we're in these tropical force winds, they're not the best vehicles to have on the road. Does that mean that if you're having a 911 event, we're not going to come get you? We will, but we're going to prioritize these calls. So don't be that person that's creating a call unnecessarily. We want to make sure everybody is safe. We can't respond well, even if we want to, if we put our folks in high-risk situations. Of course, there's going to be these unavoidable emergencies. Trees are going to get blown down, and it's possible with this event on our noon phone call that significant flooding can occur. Now, it's very interesting because this type of event, I won't bore you with the detail, but it's very interesting that it's not necessarily a river flooding type of event that they're predicting, but significant flooding can occur. And as a result, I don't want to have anybody in danger. I want to be able to say to all of you, we are here to help, and we have all the great resources. And we said this time and time again, our robust emergency plans are strong. They're very robust. And I'm very confident that the systems the city and the county have put into force now, starting with this press briefing, is our first message to you officially, that you are our best line of defense. Our plan is your preparedness. That's the biggest part of it. And I know that you're going to do your part. You've been doing it for 5 months now during this pandemic. And I'm going to hope, like Mayor McComb said, that this will not be a major event. But I don't work on hope as an emergency manager. I work on strategy. And there are more storms and systems in the Atlantic that have possible courses for the Gulf of Mexico. So, as I said yesterday, it's game day, and we're playing to win. What does winning mean? Protecting life, protecting property. I also want to emphasize that the county has set up a hotline, and its number is 414-6000. You might remember that hotline is a hotline you've used before for other information from the county. It's the same number, 414-6000. You're going to be able to call this number if you find yourself in the outer lying areas. You're outside Corpus Christi, and something happens that you need information, you need help. This is going to be a good number. We're going to start there'll be a small team of us in the EOC starting at midnight tonight. I left the office to come over here just a short time ago, and on my leaving, I was rearranging books last weekend, and I had one tabbed, and I knew I hadn't gotten to it, so I decided to look inside, and it was a great quote by Helen Keller, and I really think it's appropriate here. She said, "We could never learn to be brave and patient if there were only joy in the world." And so I ask you that these are difficult times. You might be asking yourself at home, how could this be possible that we're living inside this unbelievable COVID-19 crisis here in Nueces County in a way that really marks us in all the wrong ways as being a number one type of county for hospitalizations and fatalities and ICUs and positive rates and all those negative things. And then you think, here comes a tropical storm. And it was almost shocking to hear the National Weather Service say, and it's headed right for Corpus Christi. But I ask you to think about being brave and being patient, because it's not just those great qualities that make us resilient. But I know something else about storms, is that every one of them runs out of rain. And just like dark will turn into day, I know we will also be in front of you again, telling you that the storm is over now. So, for now, remember my 3 points. Be ready, stay informed, take no unnecessary risks. I would like to also ask a little bit of help from the media. We are going to have a lot of requests, if we could work through our communications department, I will make sure that we, after this press briefing and after 5 o'clock, if you need to reach us, get up-to-date information, if you would work through our public information office, we will make certain that we answer your request. Typically, you know, you can text me, call me, email me, and I'm going to call you right back, or I'm going to give you that interview over the phone. For this event, I would ask humbly if you would allow me to work through our communications office so that I can focus directly on getting all the information streamlined. So rather than maybe doing, 10 individual ones, we find our best way to communicate with one voice and one message, the city and the county. I also think you might find it interesting that we are reaching out to our other political subdivision partners. This morning, the RTA joined us in our call. They will be joining us also in our EOC. We also have reached out to the Port of Corpus Christi and the United States Coast Guard. The captain of the port has reflected that the port is closed for incoming and outgoing vessels. So I just want you to know that your political subdivisions, your city, your county, your RTA, your port, your small communities are not only talking, communicating, but as always, it gives me great pride to tell you that we are working together. Thank you, and again, please stay safe.
Tengo 3 puntos importantes para esta emergencia. Para estar preparado, el primero es esté preparado. Para estar preparado, tenga todos sus suministros para usted y su familia, desde linternas, comida enlatada, medicamentos, documentos, y ahora recuerde cubrebocas, toallitas antibacteriales, etc. Proteja su propiedad, especialmente artículos sueltos que se encuentren en su jardín, antes de que se conviertan en un proyectil con los fuertes vientos. Segundo, esté preparado. Le pido que se registre en Reverse Alert, así recibirá la información más reciente en su teléfono. También le agradezco a los medios el dar a conocer esta información y mantener a los residentes bien informados. Le pedimos que no salga si no es necesario, ya que pondrá su vida en peligro, así como la de las cuadrillas de emergencia. Este tipo de tormentas pudiera traer inundaciones importantes, así que no salga si no es necesario. Nuestro plan es que usted esté preparado. Esperamos que no sea una tormenta que nos traiga problemas. El condado también cuenta con una línea especial de ayuda para aquellos residentes que viven fuera de los límites de la ciudad. El número a llamar es el 414-6000. Es difícil pensar que una tormenta llegue a nuestra área en medio de la pandemia, pero espero que usted tome todas sus precauciones. El sistema de autobuses, el RTA, así como el puerto, también están a bordo en esta emergencia para poder actuar.
Okay, our assistant fire chief, Billy Delgado, who oversees our emergency operations center, is going to come up next, but I just wanted to add a couple things to my part in the presentation this afternoon. One is that we were informed earlier that the Regional Transportation Authority, our bus service, the RTA, tomorrow they are going to suspend their bus services. So for persons that rely on the bus, you'll have to find alternate transportation modes tomorrow because there will be no bus service to keep people safe in anticipation of the storm. So service will continue through today, but no service at all tomorrow through the RTA. And you may want to check other events or locations that you had planned to go to tomorrow. I know several entities are closing tomorrow just in the abundance of caution. Everything from bakeries, restaurants, the San Antonio Art Museum is an example. Those are a few that come to mind, but you may want to call ahead before you get out. If you shouldn't go out to begin with, but if you do, call ahead just to make sure your destination is open. And then the city, I don't know if we said it directly, the city and the county will be working around the clock now for the next couple of days. So if you need anything from the city or the county, we're going to be here. Including this evening, all the way through this evening. The city's EOC opens up tonight, and Billy will talk about that. But what that means is there's a core group, over a dozen persons that work across the city service spectrum that are going to be monitoring the situation, responding to requests for service, and being able to help our constituents and residents. So we'll be working around the clock as the storm passes through, and then working through the cleanup process as well. So with that, let me have Billy Delgado come up. He's going to talk about our ELC operations, and that will conclude our briefing. We'll be here for questions after Billy.
Good afternoon, Billy Delgado, Emergency Management Coordinator for the City of Corpus Christi. We're going to be talking about the EOC operations, but first, the communication, just like the judge said, is very important, and that's what's been going on behind the scenes the last week and a half for this event. Multiple departments, city departments have been working continuously on their emergency plans, getting ready for an event such as tomorrow or later tonight. We met with them this morning with the city manager, and every department briefed on their plans, and they are full speed ahead as far as doing what they need to do to be prepared for the event. We've had multiple WebEx calls with other agencies throughout the last 3 days, with region, state, outside agencies, so we continue to do that, and we'll continue to do that as we move forward. The big thing is city and the county and the region, we work together as a team. And we've been in step every step of the way, and we'll continue to do that through this event. The EOC will be activated tonight at 8 a.m. We'll stay open until the event is concluded. Keeping in mind the COVID-19, we cannot forget that. So we are socially distancing inside the EOC. That means that we're not having like Harvey, where we had 75 people in there. We won't have that many people in there tonight. We are spacing everybody out. And then the people that aren't able to get into the EOC tonight will be working virtually, on call, ready to help whenever needed. So we're taking that in mind, and we'll always do that. The teams stand ready to respond to any emergency that comes along with this event. We just want the people to know that we stand ready, the plans are ready, teams have been communicating, and we're ready to go when we need to go. One thing that I do want to, off the topic of the Web EOC, is one thing that we talk about preparedness and we talk about, what we need to take. One thing that we want to really stress is, phone numbers. If your cell phone goes down and you lost power, and you only know your loved one by her name and not her number, there's going to be a problem there. So write down all your important phone numbers, put them on an index card, put it in your wallet, or put it in your purse, and you'll always have it. Those little things like that really come in handy. You don't really think about it until the time comes when your cell phone's out and you want to call your loved one, and you only know the loved one by their name. So that's do that. If anything, do that, because I know it will help when time comes. Again, Office of Emergency Management will be activated tonight. Multiple different departments will be in there, as well as a few outside agencies where we're able to isolate them in offices outside of the EOC, but in the building. So we've been working on this plan, and we'll continue to work on this plan as we move forward. So thank you very much, and stay safe. Listen to the media, social media, Facebook, Twitter, and we'll get the information out. Use reverse alert, please. Use reverse alert, and we'll be getting you the messages. So thank you.
Múltiples departamentos de la ciudad han estado haciendo todo lo posible para estar preparados para este evento desde los últimos 3 días, y vamos a continuar con esa preparación. El centro de emergencias va a estar activo hasta que pase la emergencia. Recuerde, continúa esta pandemia, por lo que le pedimos tomar todas sus precauciones. Nuestras cuadrillas de emergencia están preparados para asistir. Algo importante, tenga una lista de los números de emergencia, así como de amigos y familiares en un lugar. Téngalos con usted escrito para no confiar simplemente con su teléfono, ya que se pudiera perder la energía eléctrica. También le pedimos estar informado en las redes sociales, ya sea a través de Facebook o Twitter.
Okay, that concludes our press briefing. We can take any questions that the media might have. For the judge, the mayor. Yes, ma'am? There is a plan in place, yeah. So the question, if persons couldn't hear, is there a plan in place for the city's homeless population? So since yesterday, we began outreach to our homeless providers who, in times like these, tend to open up their shelters more readily for the homeless population. So that has been activated yesterday. So we have about 30 area providers that help us with the homeless population that many of whom have a shelter facility. And so they're letting people come in, homeless people coming and providing extended stays as well. And then the Red Cross is also helping us if we need to use some of our city facilities to provide more long-term shelter. Those plans are in place already, so we're ready to go with the homeless population. As a reminder, in the budget that we're currently in, one of the things we recommended that the City Council approved was redirecting several staff positions that were doing prior functions to make them available to focus 100% on homelessness. And so that team that we have is 2 persons in the city. Is the first time in maybe ever that we have a dedicated team helping that homeless population. And they've been front and center the past couple of days working with the homeless shelters as well as the Red Cross. Yes, ma'am?
What about the drainage and ditch clearing in areas like Villa Grande Colonia and Barraza Colonia near the refineries? When will those areas be cleared out? Because they tend to flood very easily and the flooding kind of stays there for a long time.
Right, so our crews have been out since yesterday also. The question was, what are we doing with drainage clearance and cleaning of our drainage system, including some of the low-lying areas that tend to flood. And so our crews yesterday have been getting as many ready as we can. We have a normal cleaning cycle, but we've extended time to clear some of the earthen channels that we have, as well as some of the storm sewer. So a good example is North Beach, where the inlets need to be cleaned more frequently because of sand that can come in through tidal flow or just wind. So over the past day and through today, crews have been getting the storm system ready. And they are working over the weekend, so probably even through Saturday, conditions allowing, there'll be clearance, debris removal, and into Saturday, and then especially Sunday, Monday, that's when we'll be in there right away. One thing the city's doing, and the city council is going to consider allocating more funds to it, is improving our storm drainage system. We have one, but it's not where it should be. And so making a dedicated revenue source and focusing on a team that helps to manage the stormwater system that the city has, that's especially critical in times like this. And so we're already making improvements today, and we will be through the weekend, but more improvements are coming beginning October 1. Judge, did you want to say anything on storm drainage?
I just want to say that the same goes as well for the county. We've been out all morning, working on with Public Works, who is really the department that would be in charge of making, as much effort as they can to clear vegetation and allow for that drainage to work properly. But let me just make it very clear. We have major drainage problems throughout Nueces County, okay? That's not going to change overnight. So wherever, this is why I'm concerned about this type of an event that has a significant flooding, type of opportunity. And so let's see if our creeks, can do their job. But I will tell you, on the National Weather Service call, I think that we maybe might get a little lucky that our rivers can handle it, but our creeks are probably going to be the ones that you're going to see fill quickly. So look for Oso Creek and some of our tributaries to get filled. But where you're in a low-lying area, this is what I mean about not taking unnecessary risks. Stay home if you can. Stay off those roads and stay away from harm's way. And then we will do our very best, and I know you're going to help me too by identifying our problem areas. And just like we do for any other rain event, we're going to be out there in the rural counties working on, to the best that we can with our equipment and our support team through Public Works. So I expect you're going to see a lot more problems in the rural area than anywhere else.
Since we're here already, post Hanna, once Hanna's already out of here, what can the people that live in these colonias, what can they expect from the county in reference to flooding? Because no matter
Sure.
it's going to flood and the water is going to be
Sure.
contaminated. So what can these people?
You can expect, response. One of the things that I'm looking at right now is finding out what resources we have to partner with the state. So, I want to hope, I too believe that, I would like to imagine that this storm just moves away and we don't get any big event from it. But I have to plan for it bringing significant rain and significant problems due to flooding in low-lying areas. So one of the things that your county has done for you is we are well in our way to designing, really the drainage of the future. But this takes a tremendous amount of time and planning. We've been working all year on this event. We have a major Water Development Board grant pending right now for a watershed basin study. I have always maintained that drainage is one of our number one problems. Most of all the commissioners agree. So we have 2 grants that are going to be pending at the GLO to make major changes for our future. And why haven't they been done now? Well, because these grants just became available, and the granting cycle is now. And all of these grants, by the way, are a result of Hurricane Harvey. So I will tell you this morning, I'm going to be taking, we have some experts that are going to be out in the field in the recovery piece of it, right, after the storm and the danger has passed. And they're going to be looking at water levels and really seeing what happens to all of these creeks, tributaries, and rivers and low-lying areas. So we have a research team already in place now to see what we look like after this rain event. So those are the things we do, but we work with our partners at TxDOT, we work with the city, wherever the jurisdictions overlap. Remember, there are other smaller communities like Robstown, Agua Dulce, Banquetti, so we're gonna do everything we can, but we want people to be safe, so stay away from those areas that flood.
Okay, do we have any other questions from the media? Courtney? Well, the question was, are we going to do anything to notify persons that live in known flood zones? To my knowledge, we're not doing any additional outreach. We are in neighborhoods, though, inspecting our conditions to see, can we, as we talked about earlier, clear some of the creeks. We do have some heavy vehicles. We are going to, if we haven't already, pre-position some vehicles that can withstand higher waters in case we have to rescue people out. We're notifying people through means like this, and so I think that's some of the things we're doing. Considering COVID-19, that's something. So the question is, how are we going to handle water rescues or any type of an emergency rescue, given that we're still in the midst of a pandemic? And so since yesterday, when we started communicating with our executives that are in the front and center of the storm management, that was one of the 4 bullet points we talked about, is that even though this Hanna storm is coming, we can't forget what we've been talking about for 5 months. So the departments, especially our first responding departments and even our public works type staff, know that they have to continue to wear their PPE, their face masks, gloves, shields, and they can't put their own personal safety at risk. They have to think of that first, theirs and their families. And so we're bringing that message to every employee through our directors of each department. And so they need to wear their PPE, follow the COVID-19 protocol that we've been working under for the past 5 months or so. And so the departments are ready. Especially our police and fire departments are probably the best prepared at emergency response. And so they're treating this under their normal protocol of how do you respond in an emergency. They're trained for that, and they're probably best at it than anybody in our city. Any other questions from the media? Okay, so just as a recap on what's happening next. So normally today on Friday we do at 5 o'clock a COVID-19 briefing, and Fridays typically have included a presentation by Texas A&M Dr. Bird. We're going to suspend that for today, and we're going to come back at 5. It'll be the same persons: Mayor McComb, Nueces County Judge Barbara Canales, myself, and Billy Delgado, our assistant chief over the EOC. We're going to bring back to the community an update at 5 that'll include a weather update from the National Weather Service that we'll get at 4:30. And so we'll come back and provide that type of information and remind